Hi guys, and welcome back. So I know that this water quality lab is a little bit tricky, and I know I missed out with going over kind of some of the examples with my B-Day. So I want to make a really quick video going over one of the examples with you guys. It's a sample that I did with my A-Day, so it would be a repeat. But if for some reason you were lost on A-Day, I know this can be a little bit tricky. This would be a good video just kind of to review. And then for my B-Day students, if you had like no idea what was going on, I'm going to work you through or take you through working this sample. And I'm hoping that it will be really helpful in completing your macroinvertebrate lab. So just to recap, we use macroinvertebrates in order to assess the water quality of a particular freshwater system, meaning that depending on the types of organisms are there, we can determine whether it's clean or whether it's very polluted. So a clean waterway we would expect to see a high number of intolerant organisms. Now, intolerant means that they're not tolerant to pollutions. So if you had a lot of them, that would be an indication that there's not many pollutants there. However, it works both ways. So if you don't see many intolerant organisms, that might be an indication that your waterway is polluted and is not really conducive to housing these more sensitive creatures. So we're just going to go ahead and do a sample here. The sample I'm going to do is sample 1 on your worksheet. So that's this one right here. I also created a chart that is helpful in classifying them. So I went ahead and classified them for you into the intolerant, moderately tolerant, and then the tolerant organisms. And I'm going to show you how I do my calculations, and then hopefully that will help you with sample 2. Also, as a reminder for this lab, the only ones you have to do are sample 1 and sample 2. So where do sample 1 and sample 2 come from? So they come from those interactive slides on the lab. The example for the sample up top, if that makes sense, where we calculated the quality to be 18 and it says good. If you just click on the slide to the next one, this is sample 1. And then if you click next, this would be sample 2. Okay, so these are the 2 samples that we're working with. So I'm actually going to go back because this is the sample that I'm doing. And also you want to click to check your answers here. You can click and tell whether or not you're correct or not. Okay. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start I always start at the top and I classify my organisms. So my first one is a freshwater slater. So I'm going to go to my chart and I'm going to find my freshwater slater. And he is right here in the tolerant organism. So I'm just going to come down to this sample. So I know it's sample 1. And I'm going to say I have 1. Just going to put a tally in here. For 1. So I have 1 freshwater slater and he is in the tolerant category. Next, I have a dragonfly. My dragonfly is going to be, I think, in the moderate category. Yep. Dragonflies are moderate, so I'm just going to put a tally in the moderate category. And again, we're counting how many different types, not how many of each organism. So they don't have multiples in these samples, but we do these calculations based on the type of different organisms, not the actual numbers of individuals. Next, we have a snail. So I'm going to go back and find our snail. He is intolerant, so we're going to put 1 here at the intolerant. Then I'm going to do my crayfish. My crayfish is moderately, so I'm going to put another tab for moderate. My damselfly, so over here, we're almost done. Damselfly is under the moderate, so I'm going to tally for a moderate. My caddisfly is going to be an intolerant. He's over at the top, so if I go from my caddisfly is here and my intolerant, so I'm going to do another intolerant tally mark. And then finally my mayfly. My mayfly is also intolerant. Okay, so we're ending our sample with 3 intolerant organisms, 3 moderately tolerant, and 1 tolerant organism. Okay, so I'm going to go and put this information into my lab. So again, I have 3 intolerant, so 3 different types of intolerant organisms in the water, 3 types in the moderate, and then 1 type in the tolerant. So let me go back into and push it over. So I've got 3, 3, and 1. And these were my intolerant, my moderates, and my tolerant. I'm going to put a 1 right here. Now, the pollution tolerance indicator for each category of species does not change. So the 3 is always the highest. It goes to the intolerance because the more intolerant you are, the higher your presence would be indicative of a clean waterway. So higher index equals intolerant organisms. So the intolerant will always be multiplied of 3, the moderate multiplied by 2, and the tolerant multiplied by 1. So now I can just multiply my rows across. So I had 3 intolerant, and I'm going to multiply them by the value for their tolerance indicator, which is also 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Next, I'm going to take my 3 types of moderates that we calculated in our sample. I'm going to multiply that by 2 because that is their set tolerance indicator number. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then finally, I had 1 tolerant organism. So 1 times 1 is 1. Okay. So now I can add up my sample data. So I've got a 9 plus 6 is 15. And then plus 1 is 16. So 16 is our final number here. Now let's go back to our chart on the top and find out what number 16 is. So an 11 to a 16 is going to be fair. So I'm going to type fair into here, and then we can check ourselves. So I'm going to go back to my interactive slides. I'm going to click on the fair, and it says, yes, great job. We did it correctly. Okay, so that is how you do the samples. So when you go back, you can click, oh, I think it went ahead and did it for us. So when you click that back button, when you check your answer, it takes you to the second sample. Let me just double check before I tell you wrong. Yeah, it takes you to the second sample. So this second sample is the one you need to do independently. Okay, that first sample was there for you. Let me go back. So this one was the example. So the first table, and I'll show it to you really quick. This first table, the numbers for this first table came from this right here. So these were the numbers from the first table. The example was done within the slides. And then this sample is the one that I just worked for you in this video. And so then the one I'm asking you to do independently is right here. It's kind of a larger sample, but if you just follow the same steps that we followed in that first sample, you will be a-okay. So again, I did extend the due date for this out from this Sunday to next Wednesday, just because I didn't get the opportunity to go over it with my B-Day class. But I hope that this will provide some clarification and help out. If you still have questions, please let me know, and I will set up a time to actually meet with you one-on-one and take you through the lab. I have no issue doing that. So I will see you guys in class. If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.